give the floor to Ms. Rita Ezenwa-Okoro, founder and lead visionary Street Project Foundation and the executive director, Global Play Brigade, headquartered in New York. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I stand on existing protocol. Like earlier mentioned, my name is Rita Ezenwa-Okoro, and I am the founder and lead visionary of Street Project Foundation based in Nigeria, and most recently appointed the first executive director of the Global Play Brigade, headquartered in New York. I am creative arts. I believe in the power of creative arts to soften the borders between us humans. I believe in the power of the creative arts to bridge the borders between us in Africa. And that's what I'm here to talk about. And just like my colleague Maggie mentioned, I'm also here representing the youth voices. Because if we want to transform Africa, if we want to strengthen our identity and our cultures, then we must look to the youth and we must look to the arts. Innately in the creative arts, and specifically the use of play, is the ability to soften the borders between us humans. The capacity to have conversations about very sensitive topics, but using the vehicle of play and performance to do just that. At the core of Pan-Africanism is the need to bring people together who have many identities and varied cultures. I come from Nigeria, a country with over 200 million people, from 250 ethnic groups, speaking over 500 languages, with 3 major religions: Christianity, Islam, and traditional ways of worship. To a large extent, a microcosm of the continent of Africa. The question often is, how do we create spaces that are accepting of our differences? How do we co-create with people who are different from us and become a part of the conversations that will celebrate the African experience? One way we should explore is the use of play and performance to create what I call circles of trust. Through play and performance, we are able to break down national borders, language barriers, and religious differences. Yesterday, along with Maggie, I had the opportunity to engage with youth from different parts of the continent and outside the continent. And for the first couple of minutes before we commenced our conversation, we played together by co-creating our unique movements and sound, by mirroring ourselves and celebrating the silliness of it all. However, in one split moment, we were speaking one language and transforming the atmosphere where we didn't think of ourselves as strangers in the room, but as comrades in the pursuit of social change, making it easy for us to hold sensitive conversations about our diversity. One lesson that emerged from this interaction is that we do not want Africa isolated. As much as we need ourselves as Africans living in Africa and Africans in diaspora, we most definitely need allies from outside of the continent to champion our cause to decolonize the use of our indigenous languages in global gatherings such as this, to increase literature in various languages, to let go of stereotypes that project the continent in ways that are not complementary to our culture and identity, to develop a digital lexicon using AI technology, to invest in changing the African narrative through the use of films and creative academies, to invest in exchange programs within the continent of Africa. AU, listen up. And above all, combating poverty that still plagues the majority of the continent. I'd love to share a little story with you. It is one of our Street Project Foundation ambassadors called Pelemo. She was born with a bow leg, a medical condition called fibrous dysplasia. And she grew up feeling excluded from everything. Her bones were brittle from birth, and even with corrective surgery, she had to walk around with visible metals inserted in her legs. She lacked the confidence to raise her voice against the social ills that faced her in society as a person with disability. Being socially excluded from her peers caused her to develop mental health challenges and to live a life of seclusion. However, following her exposure to our creative arts programs and the application of our UNAOC and BMW Group award-winning innovation called Reflection Sessions, a model developed from the school of thought called social therapeutics, a social and cultural approach to human learning and development that is not a biological approach. Pelemo discovered and groomed her talent in spoken word poetry, and now she represents the youth of Nigeria as an advisor at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Netherlands. In many ways, Pelemo's story reminds me of the continent of Africa. Its identity crisis has been majorly a result of colonization, placing the continent in a perpetual state of disability. And as such, critical to its transformation is the need for a mindset shift. Social therapeutics is a philosophically informed, practically oriented practice of the method, which relates to human beings not as behaving individuals who only adapt to culture, but as culture creators and an ensemble of performers of their lives. It hinges on 4 constructs. 1, humans as social beings. 2, humans as performers. 3, humans as improvisers. And 4, humans as revolutionaries. In conclusion, at the end of the day, just like Pelemo, who through our program called the Creative Youth Bootcamp, strengthened her sense of identity, values, and ethics by being a part of a circle of trust that was built through creative arts, play, and performance. The continent of Africa can strengthen its cultural identity, common heritage, shared values, and ethics by building a circle of trust that allows us to celebrate our cultural experiences without judgment, bias, or prejudice to one another, thereby giving us a united voice in the pursuit of our collective development on the continent of Africa. Thank you.